I sat on my porch this morning, watching the fog lift gently from the trees, and it hit me with a quiet force. I am 82 years old now, and in the stillness of this house, silence isn't merely empty space anymore, it's a library of echoes. Pages filled with lives I've lived and people I've loved. Over 8 decades, I've watched the world spin in dizzying rotations. But more poignantly, I've watched people leave, parents, siblings, lifelong friends, and the one I thought would be holding my hand until the very last moment. They are all gone now, leaving me in a world designed for the young, a place where hurried footsteps and anxious voices seem to exist for everything but me. People ask me, what is it like? Or they look at me with pity, as if being the last one standing were some kind of tragedy. But there's a secret to being 82 that no one tells you until you arrive here, when everything and everyone is stripped away. What remains isn't simply nothing. It is the raw, unvarnished truth of life. If you're younger than me, listen closely. If you've reached my age, take a seat beside me. Today, I want to tell you about what stays, the things that linger when the house grows quiet and the phone ceases to ring. The first lesson I've learned is that we never truly own anything or anyone. In my 40s and 50s, I thought my identity was defined by what I built, my career, my home, my reputation. I guarded those things fiercely, convinced they were permanent, sacred. Yet here I am, hands empty, and it is perfectly okay. Homes I lived in have been sold. My professional accomplishments, once so dear, are forgotten by people who hadn't even been born when I retired. What endures isn't the trophy on a shelf or the title in an old newspaper clipping. It is the character you forged in the pursuit of them. And people, the ones we hold closest, are simply on loan to us. We do not own our spouses, our children, or our friends. We are custodians of their time, invited to share their lives for a brief, precious while. The moment you stop grasping and trying to keep them close, the sting of departure transforms. Grief no longer feels like theft. It becomes gratitude for the chance to witness, to love, to hold them even if only temporarily. What remains at the end is not the absence, but the love given, the only thing that never rots, never ends up in an estate sale, never disappears entirely. When I was young, I chased milestones, weddings, promotions, vacations across horizons that always seemed just out of reach. Life appeared to be made of peaks and grand summits. But now, with 8 decades etched in my bones, I see the truth. Life is found in the steps between the mountains. If I could rewind time, I wouldn't seek more success, I'd seek more noticing. I would linger over a cup of coffee, truly hear the birds, inhale the scent of morning dew. What remains at the end of a long life is a mosaic of small, beautiful nothings that, in hindsight, comprise everything. One of the hardest lessons is the solitude. We are a generation taught to stay busy, to fill hours with work, conversation, distraction. But when children leave and friends pass on, we are left with a stranger, ourselves. Most people spend their lives running, chasing noise to drown out their own thoughts. At 82, your knees won't let you run anymore, and the stillness becomes unavoidable. It is in that sitting, in that quiet, that I discovered a strength I never knew existed. What remains is your internal fortress, a sanctuary built with your own company. If you haven't cultivated a relationship with yourself, old age will terrify you. But if you have, it transforms into peace. I've learned, slowly and sometimes painfully, that I am enough. I've forgiven the man I was at 27 and 52. What endures is the quiet peace with the reflection in the mirror. I was, all along, my own companion, the friend I needed, the witness to my own life. People ask if I have regrets. Of course I do. Only a fool or a liar claims otherwise. Yet, there's a distinction at 82 between regret and remorse. I regret risks never taken, love words left unspoken out of pride. But what hurts deepest, what truly lingers, is remorse for unkindness. We squander energy defending our ego, arguing to be right, holding grudges. As I watch names in my old address book disappear one by one, I realize being right is the loneliest victory imaginable. What remains is the truth that kindness was always the right choice. If there is someone you can call today, call them, not to settle scores, but simply to say, I'm glad you're here, because one day they won't be. The score won't matter. Only the presence will have mattered. There is a strange grace in watching the world continue without you. I see teenagers with their devices, their new slang, their hurried energy. Initially, it stirred bitterness in me. I felt the world had moved on. But that isn't meant to be cruel. What remains is the role of the witness. I am here to watch life cycle endlessly. In my grandson's eyes, I see my father's reflection. I see that I am a stitch in the vast, unending tapestry. My job is no longer to lead, but to cheer from the sidelines. Freedom is found in letting go of the need for importance. What remains is joy of renewal, the comfort of knowing part of my story lives on another's dark cell. When everyone has gone, what remains? Gratitude. Fierce, aching gratitude for the impossibility of it all. That I got to be here. That I got to love, even while losing. That I witnessed 29,200 sunrises. At 82, I am not afraid of the dark, because the light never truly disappears. It simply moves into the next room. If you're listening now, do not wait until 82 to discover what remains. Seek it today. It is in your breath, in the person beside you, in the quiet beating of your own heart. Thank you for sitting with me on this porch. If these words resonate, share them with someone you love. Comment, subscribe, and join us for more reflections on life's journey. Tell me, what is one thing you have learned to cherish as you've grown older? I read every comment. It makes the house feel a little less quiet.